France 24. Right now, though, we're going to move on with a look at how some of the day's top stories are being reported online and in other media with James Creedon. Hi there, James.
Hi, Catherine.
Now, we're going to start off in Brazil. We've just heard in the last hour that a major coalition partner is leaving the government. The country does have plenty of problems aside from the corruption and political crisis, doesn't it? A lot of those coming out online today.
That's right. And a lot of the protests that we've been seeing anti-corruption over the last number of weeks have drawn attention to the broader issues, I guess. Now, one photo in particular has come back again and again online, and it has gone, I suppose, more viral than just the Portuguese language Twitter sphere, if you like. It is this image here. Now, this was a protest on the 13th of March. That photo has been shared as something that is emblematic of Brazil's social and economic inequalities, and even a throwback to the days of slavery. Brazil was the last country in the Americas to abolish slavery in 1888. What you see here is a couple protesting in Ipanema, which is one of the most wealthy, trendy suburbs of Rio de Janeiro, or districts of Rio de Janeiro, and their nanny is pushing their children along during the protest. So they brought the nanny along to help them out as they take to the streets to protest against corruption and the government. Now, what it drew attention to is of all the protesters who were in Rio de Janeiro that day, only 4% were black, for example. It's a largely white, upper middle class protest. And so they're protesting against corruption, but in fact, those very protests are drawing attention to the issue of social inequalities, which are in fact very much unresolved in Brazil. There was a lot of hope that former President Lula and Dilma Rousseff would indeed bridge the inequality gaps, but they have really failed to do so. Just some statistics that the discussion around this photograph brought attention to. Some 12 million Brazilians live in favelas. They are densely packed slums in the urban areas. The wealthiest 10% of the population earned 40% of the nation's total income in 2013. That's 39 times more than the poorest 10% of the population. The income gap is about 5 times wider than those of advanced economies. So there are a lot of social and economic inequalities. That photo drawing attention to that. So it's not just a problem of corruption in Brazil, and I suppose the frustrations are there. Other photos that you can there was this other images rather that you're seeing doing the rounds of social media. Now, believe it or not, that you would think that that's exactly a caricature of the photo we just saw. That cartoon was drawn before the photo was taken. So it was drawing attention indeed to the upper middle class sort of profile of these protesters, and then rather bizarrely the photo came along to confirm, I suppose, the impressions of the cartoonist. So certainly that photo getting a lot of shares in the broader discussion that we're having about Brazil's political problems and corruption.
All right, let's look further north to the United States. Barack Obama, he hasn't said a great deal about the ongoing presidential nomination campaign, has he? But he has had a few words to say today about how the media has been covering the whole thing.
That's right. He has taken the opportunity to scold the media for giving perhaps too much of a platform to, for example, Donald Trump. He didn't say it as clearly as that, but I think it was pretty obvious what he was getting at. And he recognised the increasing economic constraints that a lot of media organisations are working in, the fact that they're often private companies that are profit-driven. But he warned journalists against filling the void and feeding the beast with instant commentary, Twitter, and giving further steam to Twitter rumours, celebrity gossip, softer stories, all that sort of stuff. And he said that there is a real responsibility on media organisations, even if they're being profit driven, to put some of that profit back into the newsroom and to not dumb down the news and to have higher aspirations for what effective news can do, because a well-informed electorate depends on you. So that was the message from President Obama. It did, in fact, feed into a broader debate about the media's role in perhaps helping Donald Trump. This is a piece by Nicholas Kristof going back to last Sunday in the New York Times, where he basically said, "I share in this shame the media helped to make Donald Trump." Now, one quote in that article is, is of Ann Curry. She is the former Today Show anchor in the US. And Trump is not an instant ratings circulation clicks gold mine. He's the mother lode, she said. He stepped onto the presidential campaign precisely at a moment where the media is struggling against deep insecurities about its financial future. So a lot of media organizations under financial pressure. The truth is the media has needed Trump like a crack addict needs a hit. So it is a discussion that's taking place. Others in the Washington Post, such as this article here by Eugene Robinson, saying that's all a load of rubbish. The media didn't create Donald Trump. I suppose, strictly speaking, that is true. He did exist before the media. But he said the fact is that audiences have decided they need and want to know about Trump. So there you go, a media spotlight being put on the media's role in the
bit of
creation.
a chicken and egg situation, isn't it?
I think so, a little bit. And also, but what's interesting is a kind of an opposite debate going on about the media minimising, well, I suppose it is linked, or minimising the potential of Bernie Sanders, for example, of actually getting the Democratic Party nomination. This satirical piece in The New Yorker by Andy Borovitz draws attention to that. Media unimpressed as Sanders barely gets 70% of the vote. Now, this was after he won quite significantly in 3 Western primaries. The major cable networks briefly mentioned Sanders' vote tallies in Washington, Alaska and Hawaii, he wrote, but noted that he ran out of steam well shy of 80%. So perhaps not quite the same phenomenon as Donald Trump, but the media being criticised, let's just sum it up with that neat little phrase.
Very interesting indeed. Now, finally, the media here in France being criticised. One outlet in particular, Charlie Hebdo. We all know who they are, don't we? Of course, their modus operandi, their raison d'etre is to cause a stir, cause controversy. This week's Charlie Hebdo, I have to say, I've seen it. I didn't understand it. If you can try and unpick this one for us.
I didn't either, but I did look into trying to get the humour in it, because initially I didn't see any humour at all. It's a quote from a Stromae song.
Yes, Stromae, who's the artist pictured in the middle there, in his song Papa Outé, which means Dad, where are you?
And then
that was a massive hit.
Right.
He's Belgian.
Right.
That much I understood.
That's right. And well, then I suppose we definitely just didn't get the humour, I think. Maybe because there isn't any. In any case, Daddy, where are you? And there you see dismembered, as you said, dismembered body parts. So let's just take a look at the reactions. People can make up their own minds afterwards, whether it's in good taste or not. Humour is supposed to make you laugh. Don't we agree on that? I just had a little doubt, says Guillaume Velfi, who I think that the inference there is that he just doesn't find that funny. Bad taste once again, says Marc Kerel. And here, a Belgian person saying, Charlie Hebdo, brilliant cover, keep it up. I'm not offended because I'm not a child. Put up whatever, hashtag freedom of speech.
I just don't understand what's meant to be funny, though. I would really love for somebody to explain it to me, because I'm baffled. I'm baffled.
I think in the past they have put up grisly sort of imagery where there's a clear joke. I agree. I agree with you. But in this case, I think apart from the fact that Stromae is Belgian and he had a song of that title, and then fathers were killed, I don't see the humour.
We really would like to know.
Indeed. In any case, a spectrum of reactions online. I've tried to pick some positive, some negative, but I think mostly it is criticism for what was seen as bad taste.
All right, thanks very much. James Creedon there with Media Watch.